Greetings, everyone, and here we are again for our weekly group meditation. We awake as opposed to I awake because we're doing it together. And for those of you new, welcome. It's great for you to be here. And there's been a lot of research and a lot of experience and a lot of human history that affirms that when we meditate together, it creates a field. There's a sense of it being different, maybe not more powerful, maybe more powerful, but adds something to the experience. And then when you couple that with this technology, you can get pretty very powerful. So today we're going to do, it's just a 20-minute track, and it's part of Profound Meditation 3.0, which has 9, 12, 15 tracks, I think, altogether. And this is releasing track 2. And the idea when we were creating this, or we were making suggestions to Eric Thompson, that the last level 2 and 3 are really pretty powerful. I mean, it really gets in there, and if you're dealing with issues of trauma or history or something like that, it can be very powerful. So we decided to create the releasing tracks to be a little more gentle and kind of help you, if, for example, if you go to the gym and you have a really heavy workout, the next day you don't want to go and do another really heavy workout. You want to kind of do something light and stretch your muscles and get blood flowing and stuff like that. Anyway, that's my kind of metaphor, and I thought about it. And I didn't use it for quite a while because I said, I want the heavy, hardcore stuff. And then I use it. I'm releasing. I felt it passing. So, that's what we're going to do today. And what should we meditate on? Well, one of my favorite little phrases or truism comes from the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And as some of you might know, I worked with alcoholics and addicts for many years. And our house here in southern Utah, where I'm speaking from now, for 8 years was a treatment center. So we had addicts and alcoholics in every bedroom, stuck in every corner, under the beds, everywhere, full of addicts and alcoholics. And so it was very, very powerful experience. And every day we'd get up and we have a meditation room, and we'd meditate 1 hour with this technology, and then in the afternoon we do another hour, 2 hours of this meditation a day. And it was really amazing to see how people would change. At first everybody was like, okay, I gotta be in recovery, really bummed out, and they'd be lying all over the cushions. And then after a week or so, everybody's looked like little Buddhas in there, meditating, taking it very seriously, because they recognize this is something for me, not just something I'm supposed to do. Spirituality became something very personal. But getting back to that, I used to tell my students, because anyway, I just pulled this out for an interview the other day. Here's the integral recovery, the hard back version. And integral, includes, well, not everything there is to include. That's why it's integral. But it wasn't, let's not use 12 steps. We use 12 steps, but we integrated it with, the stuff that 12 steps didn't get to. Brain chemistry, et cetera, stuff like that. And, but I told, my students that the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous are pretty much, and they've written it for Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Sex Anonymous. Well, they've adapted it to just about any kind of issue you might have. But I said it's basically being a human being 101. Whether you're an addict or not, it's really, really good thing to pay attention to these principles, like promptly admitting when you're wrong and cleaning up your messes, and just good stuff. But step 11 was always been my favorite, being that I'm an introverted mystic, if you will, is it says, sought to increase our conscious contact with God, seeking only his/her will and the power to carry it out. Just, wow, that just nails for me what meditation is. For me, meditation is also prayer. It's also, in a sense, it's obviously stilling the mind, so you can just get a break from the constant processing, constant content, and we live in this content rich world, right? What do you think? And, information, information, information. And sometimes we just need to be conscious of consciousness itself. Oh. And what does that get us conscious of? Well, we become conscious of the human soul. And A.H. Almas, or Habib, who's a great thinker and sage, who we're interviewing now in our podcast, writes a lot about the soul. And, what I really like about it kind of reflects what I've also learned in my own explorations of what I've been taught. And of course, he's, I'm like a kindergarten kid, and he's like, postgraduate PhD level stuff. But it affirms the things that I've seen, and that the individual self and the soul is really important. It's not just an illusion. Blah, blah, blah. It's like God or the universe took a long time to create the individual self, and the individual self matters. And it's like a hologram. You can take, if I'm a holographic image, it's a 3D image, and you can take any part of it, little part of my forehead here, cut it out, shine light through it, and it reproduces the whole thing. So we're kind of like that. We're individual expressions of divinity, yet when the light shines through us, we experience ourselves as the everything. So we're both, we're both the particle and the wave, that stretches into infinity, and we can experience the boundlessness, the infinity, the beauty of God and the universe in a very personal way. You can be everything and you at the same time. You can be little John and God, if you will, at the same time. So anyway, sought through prayer and meditation to increase our conscious contact with God. And I've been going through a thing. It's called, I need to turn off my, there we go. Going through a thing where I was experiencing a dark night. And what is a dark night of the soul? Well, classically, it's like, it's more than just, I'm feeling despair and alone and depression. Okay, that's kind of it. But in the St. John of the Cross, I think, was the original Christian mystic who wrote about it. And he said, a dark night of the soul is something happens after you have experienced God or the divine or mystical experience or peak experience, or however you want to language it, either religiously, spiritually, or psychologically. You've had that taste, and but then it goes away. So from your past experience, from your intellect, that yes, that you are part of the all, that God is real. I'm speaking very personally for me. I don't have to worry about that. That's pretty clear. But when you feel disconnected from it, it becomes horribly painful. You feel really, really lonely. And I've been working on that. So last weekend, when we're in Utah, we have people come over on Sundays and we meditate together, a group. And I was going inside. I realized that was what was the root of my pain was that feeling separate from spirit or God, lonely, just lost in my own little individual selfness, if you will. And that's a lonely, dark place, And especially when there's so much going on, so much painful stuff going on the planet, if you lose connection with that, if you're sensitive, it's really painful, as I'm sure most of you who are meditating realize. So I went inside. Okay, now what is the source of my pain? What is the source of my suffering? And I was pretty clear, because my prior work is this lack of a conscious contact with God. I know it intellectually, all this stuff, but I can't feel it. I can't perceive it anymore. So I went down and, what is separating me from spirit, from God, from the all, from Allah, however you want to say it. Okay, that great mystery that we all experience at times in our life, and all the mystics have been writing about for thousands of years. And the answer that came, what was separating from me from my conscious contact with God? The answer was nothing. Thank you, God. Appreciate that so much. Very powerful. And so now I've been in lieu of that, I've been trying to incorporate that into my walk, my life. It's like realizing nothing separates me from God anytime, anywhere. So uh, maybe in this meditation we can kind of focus on that, opening ourselves up. And you can also pray personally and ask for help. One time when I was in grad school many years ago, I was talking to a woman and about spiritual stuff. That's just what we did. We were studying transpersonal psychology, so we are always talking about spiritual stuff. And she said, "Well, I don't believe in a personal God." And my response was right up top was, "We're being personal right now, correct?" I said, "Yeah, that's it." And we got both of them kind of, wow, you know. If it's all God, then personal is an aspect of God, and it's built into the fabric of the everything, if you will. So I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it's okay to be personal. It's okay to ask for help. So if you're having, problems, and you don't believe in God, that's cool too. That's a step of faith. That's dealing with reality, and that can change to I totally don't believe, to I don't know, agnostic, to okay, I can't deny my experience anymore. And this is not just something I was given historically, handed down to me through the church or through whatever. This is something that is mine. So in this meditation, maybe see if we can uh, increase consciously our connection with divine. And that's a really good thing. It really helps to deal with the rest of life and all of its complexity and suffering and brilliance and all of it together. So when you have that conscious personal connection. So still the mind, focus on the heart, and see if you can become conscious of consciousness itself, not just the content, not just things arising, but consciousness itself. And sometimes it's really good to focus on your heart. And when your mind is wandering about what your shopping list is for today, or something you just read in the news on your iPhone or whatever it is, it's just to come back to the heart center and be there in stillness. Yeah, because consciousness is the only thing that could be conscious of consciousness is consciousness. I know that's kind of weird, and it's a big problem for science. Like, what the hell is consciousness? It's called the hard problem. Anyway, but mystics, those of us who do the inner work, we know it, you know, and it's connected to greater consciousness. And and mysteriously, it's not just like a weird radio or internet channel. It's good, deep, deep goodness and beauty and love, all that stuff. People have been reporting for ever, and it's still happening today. Maybe it's happening more today than ever. So without further ado, let's push the button, flick the switch, And this is track 2 of releasing meditation, profound meditation 3.0. Okay, sit up straight. All right, like you're one of those statues in front of the temples. You're a god or a goddess or anything in between. And yeah, relax into the stillness and the pure awareness of awareness. Aho. How was that, everyone? Did you increase your conscious contact with God? I think I did a little. Increase conscious contact with my mind, right? Um, One time, Father Keating, who was one of the pioneers of a spiritual practice called centering prayer or centering meditation. And because, I mean, I grew up Catholic. So there's a lot of, there's sacraments and there's a lot of stuff, that's it's very powerful for a lot of people. But there was no individual kind of practice. How do you get to know God on a more personal basis? So he started teaching centering prayer. It's a very simple prayer. You focus on the heart. And, normally it takes about 20 minutes twice a day, recommended. And there and just prayers. I'm open. I'm ready, to receive you, to, whatever it is you want to do with me, God. And then when your mind wanders, have a word or just bring it back to center, bring it back to center. And when he first started teaching, he tells a story about this nun. He was teaching monks and nuns and, people like that in the beginning. And she said, God, I think during the 20 minutes, my mind wandered. I think she said 10,000 times. That might have been a bit of hyperbole, and Father Keating's answer was, well, that's wonderful. 10,000 opportunities to return to God. Keep coming back, keep coming back. And the vastness of the mystery of everything is so beyond our abilities for the brain human brain to calculate, come up with. And the brain's a really good thing. Okay. It's the human brain is great for discriminating, for figuring things out, for communicating, for, sorting all this vastness of information. But here's something that I read the other day. It says there are more atoms in a single grain of sand than there are grains of sand on planet Earth. Think about that for a minute. Wrap your head around that. It's just, I mean, I can't do it. It's just like, it's just, wow. But there are other parts of us, this is our heart and our soul, that can actually be with that and be with the mystery and touch into that while we don't necessarily comprehend, that, but we can experience that mystery and that awe. And yeah, and writers have said, I think Abraham Maslow, for one, great American psychologist, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, he said that awe is one of the characteristics of a peak experience, or an experience, a spiritual experience, you might call it, a mystical experience. It's just awe, just the absolutely amazingness of everything. And, the great question that has haunted people, psychologists and philosophers and just regular people, is why is there something rather than nothing? Why does something exist? And science can't answer that. I think mathematics will ever take us there. Takes us far. It's great stuff, but I don't think it can answer that. So, I mean, the theological answer, of course, that we inherited from our ancestors and through our scriptures and spiritual paths is that, well, God, okay. And then you try to go back, well, where, it's just, no, it's not, it's not uh, comprehensible. We're dealing with things that are much greater than our abilities of our brains or minds to wrap around or to comprehend. But we can touch into the essence of it and understand the qualities of it and deepen our conscious connection with this deep mystery. And I think that's a big part of why we do spiritual practice, because there's something in our hearts, in our souls, and in our humanness that wants to connect with that which is greater than our itty bitty little divine self. That is very, very amazing. That matters according to everything that I've learned. The individual does matter. And the individual ego is a step toward the actualization of the soul, of that deeper part of ourselves, the little s self to the big self, which connects us with everything. So that's the work. That's why we're doing it. And when we do that, it makes us happier. It makes us more feeling at home in the universe. It's part of it all. And it does good things for us, helps us to get over our traumas and our pain and our suffering, both individual, we all go through stuff, we all get hurt, and our collective suffering, our ancestral suffering, helps us to connect it in a way that all that stuff is not a obstacle, but is becomes a path itself. It all leads us there. We just stay with it and deeply sink into it and open our hearts and minds in a way that and it can happen. I mean, infinite ways that we can do this. It can happen in a flash of intuition we read about sometimes, but more generally, it's just a gradual awakening, if you will, and a gradual move toward the comprehension of the great conscious mystery that is the all, that is the universe, that is all of us. And the more we look at it, the bigger the mystery gets, and then huger it gets. It's just so vast. Yet we can become a personal part of that through practice, through grace, through dumb luck, however you want to say that. From feeling the hunger and the void and the suffering in our hearts, that is the path. So anyway, thank you for being here, and uh, you know, sending out love and blessings, all of you, and may you sense today that there's nothing that's separating us from God. Okay. Well, thank you.